In 2013, Mitch Weiss decided to take a path any lesser man wouldn't dare travel. He now finds himself training to become the Midwest's most knowledgeable sports broadcaster. Focusing on Big Ten and Detroit sports teams, he decided to create a dwelling where his training would go undisturbed, a cave. More specifically, the man cave.
No girls allowed.
Mitch enlisted a team of highly sophisticated cavemen into his service to assist him in his tireless search for, well, sports stuff. When they're not sleeping, eating, or, oh yeah, they're analyzing sports as best a caveman can. You have now entered the man cave.
At 5'11", 190 pounds, Milton Marcus Lafayette O'Quinn III has the daunting task of being the president and only member of the Joey Harrington fan club. When not watching sports, he enjoys candlelit baths while listening to his favorite album, Big Willie Style. Daniel D-Mac McDonald comes in at 6'1", 200 pounds and hails from the inner city of Bloomfield Hills. He enjoys enjoyable things, sleeps when he's tired, and hopes that one day Ryan Gosling will get a tattoo of Sparty on his chest.
Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mitch.
And this is the Man Cave.
Hey everybody, welcome back down to Mitch's Man Cave. I'm your host, Mitch Weiss, and I'm down here with all three of the cavemen. We've got a very happy D-Mac. We've got Jason Watson and Milton O'Quinn III. Milton Marcus Lafayette O'Quinn III.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody, what's going on?
Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. I actually didn't go back for seconds this time, which was kind of disappointing.
We know Danny did, though.
Oh, Danny went back for more than one helping, that's for sure. More than two helpings.
How's he looking these days?
He's looking the same.
Svelte? Per usual?
I think the opposite of svelte.
Come on,
Well,
Mitch.
he's svelte in his own Danny way. We'll put it that way.
He's still looking good, though, I
He's
bet.
still smiling, and he's still jubilant.
We miss you, Danny, and
Good.
we're gonna see you soon.
Yeah, he's actually going to be back in town for his December break, so maybe we'll get him on the
Yeah, guest
on an
appearance.
episode. Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm sure he'd love to get back down here. He's been sending me some text messages, itching to get back on Mitch's Man Cave. But how were your Thanksgivings?
Thanksgiving was awesome, man. Got to see my whole family. All 5 of my siblings got together at my parents' house. It was a really nice time.
How about that?
You know,
6 Watsons.
Yeah, it was great.
Yikes.
Watson kids.
Hashtag yikes.
You would enjoy it, D-Man.
I bet I would.
Maybe you'll come next year.
Absolutely.
I'll send out the
Are you guys all
invitation.
Wolverine fans?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's pretty well documented.
Yeah.
Hashtag yikes.
Well, my Thanksgiving was great. I mean, I just feel like that food tastes a lot better with that Lions victory. I can't
Oh,
recall
yeah.
the last
That
time
was
I
a great
saw
game.
That was
the
the first time
Lions
in 10
win.
years.
The last
Yeah.
time they won, I didn't have a license yet on
You know?
Thanksgiving.
Doing real small things, but they're coming up.
Does it take away from the victory that Aaron Rodgers wasn't starting?
Not at all.
Not to me. A win's a win. I'll take it.
I don't
can
think
get
so.
it.
The fact that he wasn't in and we won. I mean, we won, but if he would have been in and we would have won, that would have been great. But I just like dominating them. That was 40-10, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just amazing. So I'll take that all
Yeah.
day.
D-Mac, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good down in Vero Beach, Florida, with the Rents, visiting my dad's dad or my mom's dad. When then my siblings came down with my nephew and just chilling with Jose Cuervo and hitting up the waves. Man, it was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
And escaping the cold Detroit weather.
Absolutely.
It is so cold in the D right now.
So cold in the day. Milk.
Cold in the D.
So I work at the front desk at the Lifetime Fitness in Rochester, and as part of my job description, I have to welcome the members when they enter the facility.
Yeah.
And so I do the old good morning, hey, how are you? And lately it's been, how are you? Cold. And I don't really know what to say to that. Like, how do you continue that conversation? Yeah, I'm cold too. Or welcome inside. There's heat in here. I don't know. It's just kind of like a.
It's like when someone says cheers to you. I never know what to say when they say cheers. Like, thanks or.
Well,
right
I think
back at ya, or-
I think you got a promotion coming up here soon. If you really want to impress management, you're gonna have to think of something out of the box and warm up your clients.
Well, I kind of
don't
just
know
tell
how.
them how I have a space heater below my feet, and I'm staying warm while you're freezing your butt off.
Oh wow, that is
Nice.
a one-way ticket
Yeah.
to demotion. Jeez,
Wonderful customer service.
way to think out of the box.
Well, I just got to let them know.
He's a straight shooter.
Of my perks. The perks of working at Lifetime Fitness. Few perks, but that's one of them. Well, anyways, I know D-Mac's in a really good mood because Michigan State won an outright Big Ten championship and will be going to their first Rose Bowl since 1988. And D-Mac was the only one of us that was alive when Michigan State was last playing in the Rose Bowl.
It's a sign.
I was in the womb 9 months. You be the judge.
I was 2 months away from being entered into this world. I know Milt was not.
I was already just killing it, just straight up. But it was a sign, and that's why I decided to book a plane flight to San Diego to stay with my cousins and then drive up to the Rose Bowl, which we also bought tickets for. So be visiting with a few of my Spartan brothers that I lived with and was in a fraternity with, and we're gonna take over. Stanford's just down the road, but we're taking over. I guarantee you. When you look on that camera, you'll see more Spartans than trees. What do you call those things? Stanford
Cardinals.
I
trees.
think they're the Cardinals.
Oh, but they have
No, not the Cardinals, just the Cardinal, no S. And,
Oh,
and
really?
their logo or their mascot is a
Christian-
tree.
yeah.
It's a-
There's a tree,
I always
right,
thought it was a
that the
Christmas
cardinal lives in. It's cute.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a cool experience.
Yeah, it should be good.
Well, as a Michigan fan, I just want to say congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know,
Me as well.
Thank you.
there's nothing else I could say about it.
Yeah.
Well,
Well-
I just remember when we were down here and Mitch was saying how there's just no way. Like, you guys will probably beat Michigan, you probably win out, but you won't beat Ohio State, and then we did. It was just good. It felt so good.
Yeah, I was definitely riding the Ohio State hype train.
Me too.
I'll admit it.
So was I. Our bet's neutral now.
But
you won that one.
it
Yes.
turns out, D-Mac, that Ohio State, they are who you thought they were.
They are.
And you
D-Mac
had us
was
all
right.
fooled, bamboozled, hoodwinked,
That's right.
and you were right on the money.
Well, here's the thing: is it really was a coin toss, I thought, because neither of them had played a good team all year. I mean,
That's true.
I'm a Big Ten guy all the way, but who do
It's
we
not
play?
even all year.
Every other Big Ten team lost at least 2 games in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Wisconsin lose to Penn State at the end of the year, so it's just kind of you could kind of tell that Michigan State and Ohio State really separated themselves from the pack. And sure enough, Michigan State, in Michigan State fashion, gave up a 17-point lead with a 24-point run. And then as a Michigan State fan and as a Lion fan, you're just like, okay.
I'm used to this.
Okay, we lost. And then all of a sudden, 10 points later, or 17 points later, 34-24, Michigan State goes to the Rose Bowl. And,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens on New Year's Day.
I had a few takeaways from that game. One interesting stat that I want to say before I get into my spiel is it wasn't just this season for Ohio State as far as the Big Ten not playing anybody good.
Right.
Before that game against Michigan State in the Big Ten championship, everyone was on the hype train because they hadn't lost a game under Urban Meyer. That was the first game they played in 2 years against a top 15 team. So I think that tells you a little bit something about that.
What bowl are
24
they?
game streak.
What bowl are they
was.
going to? Ohio State.
They're going to either the Sugar Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl, I believe, and it's actually going to be a fun matchup. They're playing Clemson.
Oh,
Taj
right.
Boyd.
correction.
Yeah.
Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl,
Orange
yep.
Bowl. I'm sorry, Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one of the better BCS games. I'm excited to see that. It's going to be a high-scoring affair.
Yeah,
Two big-time offenses.
Yeah.
The BCS matchups this year are a little underwhelming. I'm really excited about Michigan State versus Stanford because they're
Right.
kind of mirror images of each other.
Sure.
But the other games, the Oklahoma-Alabama game, I think that's going to be a wash. I think Alabama's going to take care of business.
I just think
Yeah.
Alabama should have had a better matchup.
Yeah.
There's a Baylor out there. There's other
Right.
teams,
Well,
South Carolina even
yeah.
just.
That
I don't
Baylor
know.
Missouri game, I think, will be a good one. The national championship, I think that, and I know you share this opinion, D-Mac. We talked about it before the show. I really think that Auburn could go in there and really put a hurting on Florida State.
I don't think it's could. I think they will.
Yeah.
And I'm offering a 6-point spread to any takers.
I'll take it.
Okay,
Wow.
we got it. So So Jay Watt and I have bet twice in the man cave. Here's the third. So it's on.
So this is the tiebreaker for now until the next bet.
So let's
for the
do
shot and the beer.
let's
Or do you want
make
to mix it up?
Yeah, let's do shot, beer, and then you have to, and then so whoever loses has to buy a shot and a beer for the winner, and the winner gets to point to a girl that the loser has to buy a beer and take it to her, and just give it
Take
to
the
her.
beer to her, not take.
All right, so 2 beers and a shot, and you got to go walk up to the.
Yeah, or you identify what drink they're drinking, and you just walk over and you say, "This is from the gentleman over there," and you point at the winner.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's good.
Let's go Seminoles.
Auburn! Tigers!
So all right, so getting back to that game, I only was able to watch the first half. I couldn't get myself to sit down and watch the entire game, but I loved watching Urban Meyer on the sidelines every time that Michigan State would make a play or Ohio State would make a boneheaded mistake. Just take his headphones off, hold them in his hand, and just kind of grasp his forehead, just like that
knuckleheads,
stress,
yeah.
like that stress look
Like
where
a
you're just like,
headache.
oh my gosh, what are these guys doing? I just love seeing that because I just think he's such a prick. To me, it just seems like he is just such a prick. I don't know why. That's just the kind of vibe I get from him. I don't know if anyone else shares
Well,
that
it shows you where he was when he needed to actually coach in the game, because like we said, he hasn't really played anyone yet.
Right.
And, I mean, when did he show up?
opinion.
He had a good run, but I mean, if you can't make a 24-point run and close a game out, I mean,
Right.
He showed up on my news feed of all the people posting a video of him eating Papa John's after the game, and I was laughing at how many Spartan fans were just like loving that how depressed he was.
Oh, I would too.
Eating Papa John. I didn't know how it correlated at all, but I just thought it was really funny. So that's where I saw him show up.
And then the other thing I took away was the improvement of Connor Cook and
Oh, man.
Michigan State's
Oh, yeah.
offense from the beginning of the season to now. It's pretty tremendous.
Yeah,
he ended
I
up
was
being
hating on him
the
hard. I
second
was.
team all-conference. Statistically, he's still, I mean, he wasn't
right.
the second best quarterback, but you
He's
got to
come a
throw
long
that out
way.
the window. 'Cause
Most
he only threw like,
most
what,
im-
4 or 5 interceptions on the year, which is great.
most improved player. He's definitely got to be in that. Talk.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put
absolutely.
him on an all Big Ten or all whatever team. Yeah,
Well, he
but
wa- he
I know
was.
he was. That's great.
He
I
wasn't
mean,
unanimous.
Right.
He was second team for one, and then I think Shieldhouse from Illinois was the other.
right.
But
He's a really good game manager
exactly,
because he doesn't make boneheaded plays to throw it away,
Right.
and he might not be slinging the rock all day, but when you guys really need an important play, he makes it.
Yeah.
And that's what we said in the beginning of the season because we all knew about the defense, and we said if they could find one of these quarterbacks to just kind of be a game manager and find a running back out of the trio or whatever they had,
Right.
then they would be in good shape.
And when your
that's-
game manager can throw 3 touchdown passes against Ohio State,
Right.
I mean,
But is
I'll
that
take
big of
that.
an accomplishment now? I
I
mean,
mean,
we've seen
'cause
Ohio
that-
State's defense get torn up 2
Yeah,
straight games.
that's true. I just
Um,
think that's just a great performance to enter into a bowl game.
It was.
And the thing with this is like it's kind of scary being a Spartan fan because you always just play the spoiler. So you go into Michigan, like if we win, it's better. We enjoy the win more than Michigan does. Michigan's like, yeah, okay, well we should have won. Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State is the same kind of feel. You just get that like we're gonna win, and then if they don't, they just lose it. If they win, they're like, okay, yeah, we won. But Michigan State, when we win, we go all out. But now it's like going to this bowl game, man, is just so different for any Spartan fan. We know not a lot of Spartan fans have been there before, like you said.
None
last year,
of my friends, none of
Right.
our era,
especially
or,
our
no.
era.
Nope.
Even my friends' parents who went to state are just reliving their glory days. Like
Yeah.
they're really looking back and trying to think of the last time they were this excited about Spartan football.
No,
And
it's a tremendous accomplishment. I mean,
Everyone's
the
up-
program has really come a long way.
There's a thousands of Michigan State fans making the pilgrimage out there. It's
Yeah,
really
and I
great.
was looking at the price of plane tickets. They're over $1,000.
Yep.
Wow.
Which
they got to be smart and not go out of Detroit and go drive to Chicago like Michigan fans did when we played Alabama. If you go through Chicago, they won't be as expensive. Spartan fans, just letting you know.
Well,
Just fly out of
yeah.
somewhere else.
I still think the location of the Rose Bowl. I mean, Pasadena, it's historical and has all the tradition there, but it's very unfair to the Big Ten. Because think about it, it's always a Big Ten Pac-12 matchup, and you've got
gotta fly out
Stanford
there.
and USC and UCLA and Arizona State, and those guys are, they're all right there. Every team in the Big Ten, the closest team I think is Nebraska, and they're Middle America.
Yeah, but it's Pasadena. It's just,
Right.
It's It's got to happen.
Well, I know that some of
It's
the
got to be
programs,
warm. They don't want it to be cold.
some of the alumni base, like I think Michigan State's alumni base is doing a thing this year, providing incentive for state fans to get out to Pasadena and go to the game. But no, it's a great accomplishment, and I'd much rather see Michigan State there than Ohio State winning the Big Ten and having a chance to play in the national championship. Because I was watching the game, and at first, my perfect scenario, because I had to go over this in my head multiple times to figure out who I wanted to win, and my perfect scenario at first was Ohio State wins, Auburn crushes Missouri, jumps Ohio State in the BCS, so Auburn is up going to the national championship. Ohio State goes to the Rose Bowl, and then Michigan State goes to like the Capital One Bowl or the Orange Bowl or whatever. But then I'm watching the game, and I'm like, I cannot root for these guys. Like, even though it's Michigan State, it's still a Michigan or like state of Michigan versus the state of Ohio battle. And I just couldn't get myself to root for Ohio State because it's more like the way I look at Ohio State is just pure hatred. It's absolute hatred. State fans, it's more of like an annoyance. I don't mean that I'm not trying to talk junk, but like that's just kind of how I view it. Because I mean, at the same time, I know Michigan fans are looked at as whiners. Like we whine a lot, and we're very entitled. We feel very entitled.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I think it's great how passionate all three schools fans are. The funniest thing I saw this weekend was almost every Michigan fans' approach was like, "Here's the friend of, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend." It's basically what happened last weekend. And I mean, it was nice to have some Michigan fans on your side for once. It was good.
Well, tip of my hat, my friend.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yes.
And I hope you have fun out there in Pasadena.
Absolutely.
I don't know who I'm going to be rooting for in that game yet. I'm still deciding if I'm going Big Ten or rooting against one of the rivals, but we'll see.
Rude, dude, rude. I'm going
we'll
there.
see.
You're a cave.
I'm rooting for you, D-Mac, to have a good time.
So let me get your commitment right now that you will root for Michigan State.
I'm not ready to make that kind of commitment.
Oh, what is this?
But we'll have a couple more shows before you go out there, and we'll see what happens.
Garbage.
But sticking with college football, we got bowl season coming up. The Heisman's getting announced Saturday, sometime in the next couple of days, and Jameis Winston is obviously the heavy favorite. The other invitees are Jordan Lynch of Northern Illinois, a MAC school, which I think it'd be really cool to see a guy from the MAC win, but I just don't really see it happening.
I mean, he's got most of the rushing records in the NCAA for a quarterback, and then he's crazy like that.
And then Johnny Manziel will be back in New York, but he's obviously not going to win. Trey Mason, running back from Auburn, and Andre Williams, running back from Boston College. If I had to rank them, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Jameis is going to win. I think that Trey Mason would be my runner-up. Lynch, actually, I think would I put third, with Manziel fourth, and then Andre Williams fifth.
Question.
Yes.
When you say Manziel is not going to win, I don't think he's going to win either, but do you think that's mostly because of like his not good play this year or the off-field issues that he had going on this year?
I don't think it has anything to do with off-the-field issues. I think that was just the media blowing up something that wasn't really there, because he was working really hard. I mean, he was going to all these camps. He had his private tutor. That was more just a media fascination, in my opinion. And his season was good. I mean, statistically, he was great.
But you got to give the nod to
Jameis was just on a whole nother level, most efficient passer in the country on the number one team, didn't lose a game. So
I think this might. I mean, this is going to be a huge margin. I think.
Yeah,
Florida
I think it's
State,
going to be one of the biggest margins in recent
It kind of has
voting.
to be. He led his team. I mean, the ACC is not the SEC, but he led his team to an undefeated season, and the margin in which he led his team to win by every week was unreal. He led his kicker to be the number one, scorer in the ACC this year. I mean,
we were watching before
way.
the show. They had the award ceremony going
Right.
on the TV when we were going over what we're talking about in the show, and
Yeah.
he won the Lou Groza, Florida State's kicker, one of the best kicker in the country.
Did you see him? He knew he was gonna win.
Yeah.
Did you see his face? That was pretty
He owes
funny.
that all to Jameis, though. He really does.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
right, D-Mac.
absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
And then the other big news in the college football circles is the potential of the Texas Longhorns head coaching position to be vacant, with Mac Brown possibly stepping down. And obviously the number one candidate to replace him is Nick Saban. I know that Alabama has gone on record saying that they will offer him up to $10 million a year to stay with Alabama. And A.J. McCarron, who is Alabama's quarterback, said that Nick Saban told the team that he plans on returning to the school, but money talks, and Texas makes by far the most money of any school in the country. They have their own private television station. They're the most fertile recruiting ground in the country.
It's Texas, yeah.
If Saban really wants to cement his legacy, if he could bring Texas, which is possibly the biggest name in all of college football, possibly even college sports. I mean, Texas Longhorn football, is there a bigger name in college sports than that? Or brand, I should say. I mean, you've got Duke basketball. I'm going to ignore that, Milt. You got Duke basketball, North Carolina basketball, but really I think Texas football has got the biggest brand in all of college sports. So if he was able to go there and bring them back to prominence,
greatness, yeah.
I mean, and you know Saban is a legacy chaser. I mean, he's obsessed with himself.
And he likes to stir the pot. Look what he's done in his past.
I mean,
he loves to stir the pot.
Jumped from Michigan State to the NFL, then came back to Alabama or LSU, then jumped from LSU to Alabama. So it's not beyond reason to think that he could take that job. And whatever Alabama offers him, Texas has the potential to offer him double. So
dollars make sense.
And if it's going up, Mac Brown's doing a lot, to say I'm not resigning, and the AD saying I'm not resigning, and everybody's trying to say that, So I always think it's interesting when they're talking about one coach wanting to go, or possibly going to another school, and the other coach of that school is like denying it, vehemently that he's not going. But on another note, we left out a Heisman finalist. We were talking about Alabama. A.J. McCarron is
is he invited?
For the Heisman, yeah.
I was going to say he should be there.
I felt bad that we didn't bring his name up.
He's had a tremendous career, and if he didn't lose that game to Auburn, which was an awesome game for all of you that saw it, that kick return off the missed field goal, that was probably the craziest end of a game I've ever seen in my life. But I think if they win that game, if Alabama wins that game, McCarron's definitely pushing Winston for that Heisman. But
that was rough for me because I was in Ann Arbor working at the Brown Jug, and that was the Ohio State weekend, and it was all Ohio State fans. And as soon as he returned that kick, they went nuts, because that was their chance, And I didn't know what to do about it. I had kind of just put my head down, like, no, man, you guys just beat us, and now you're gonna, get real excited. But then the Spartans came through, and so.
So if you were Nick Saban, are you taking Texas or are you sticking with Alabama?
Well, here's the other thing too is, he could not only could he return Texas to greatness, he could return the Big 12 to a team that is, or to a conference that is in the talks of the greats now. I mean, if he brought the level of talent he did to Alabama, to Texas, and then Oklahoma State, Oklahoma built off that, and then
Baylor.
Yeah, exactly, Baylor, and then they built off that, and then they started challenging SEC, and that would be an amazing development, I think. But yeah.
So are you taking it? You're Nick Saban. Are you taking that job? You're getting $5 million more a year from Texas than you are with Alabama. You're going to probably the most storied school in college football history and the most fertile recruiting ground.
So you're saying I'm Nick Saban?
You're Nick Saban, and you get your own private TV station, the Longhorn Network.
I'd have to talk to my wife first about that.
The wife isn't involved in the decision.
If I wasn't, okay.
What a PR response. Actually, I'll have to
trust me.
Nick
Saban
else.
Will run that by his wife first, because her tea parties will be ruined momentarily. But I think she'll have a much better livelihood, and she already has her foothold in her little community clubs. If he goes to Texas and blows it, she's gonna hate him, hate her life, and yada yada yada. And you do not want.
Have some confidence in your husband, D-Mac.
I am the husband. I'm just saying what I'm thinking about wifey over there.
Okay, so you're not taking the job.
Saban will run it by his wife. That's my answer.
That is a very PR response.
Right? We can't. We're not thinking about playoffs yet. What are you talking about? Playoffs.
Jay,
you
taking it?
I would not take it this year, but that's only because I don't think It's
This
gonna
is the
be-
only year they're going to have to fill that position this year.
if Mac Brown
He's gone.
steps
He's
down,
gone.
but he hasn't yet.
Jace, he's gone.
But he hasn't yet.
In this scenario, he's gone.
All right, in this scenario, he's gone. I'm not taking the job. I'm staying at Alabama.
I'm definitely taking it.
I'm taking
because
it.
I feel like if I were him, I'm getting old. This would be my last stop. Sign a 4-year deal, whatever.
He's getting old. You remember Joe Paterno, man? He's not getting old.
I know,
he'll be
but
around.
there's so much other
Dick
stuff.
LeBeau's still the defensive coordinator. He's 73.
Paterno was a loyal guy. He doesn't have or didn't have a history of bouncing around.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
He
Nick
was really
Saban.
loyal to his staff.
I'm bored. I'm bored right now. I'm looking for a new project. I'm taking it.
So you guys are going?
I'm taking that money.
Flying.
I'm taking my
T-Mac's
own
referring to
private
his wife
network.
about it.
I'm taking.
You're
Texas
taking
recruiting
you're taking
grounds.
your shot at history.
I'm taking it.
Because that would make history by
Yeah.
far.
I'm cementing my legacy as the greatest college football coach of all time.
Going to Texas is how you have to do that. I
Yeah.
think he could do that if he wins another BCS championship at Alabama.
No,
Or I don't know.
if you go to
I
Texas and
wouldn't do
rebuild Texas and win a championship or two, greatest college football coach of all
I
time.
would be so excited to have Alabama alongside us in our hatred for
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban as a Michigan State fan. Because I mean, he never had the chance to build us up to what he had with Alabama. But he left. He left us scarred and tattered and in the dirt for 10 years.
Would you do it like Saban? Would you just leave?
I would leave. I'm gone.
I'm just saying, but that seems to be his track record. Is no notice.
He's a cold
Just
dude.
see you later. You know.
He's a cold
strictly,
dude.
It's
So I'm saying,
business,
would-
baby.
It
Would, you,
is.
would you do it that way, or would
Yes.
you? All right.
I'm telling Alabama, thanks for the opportunity. I
Yeah, I'm
great
calling.
memories here, but I'm moving on.
I'm calling him from Texas to tell him I'm done. I'm done. Straight up. I don't want to be in
We'll
Bama.
see you in the championship.
They wouldn't let him leave, man. He's got to leave before he actually leaves.
He'd schedule a decision like LeBron. And
I'm
have his
taking-
announcement.
I'm taking my talent
Texas.
and all of the talent on Alabama's roster to Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Look
much.
at all these
Peace
kids
suckers.
transfer. Peace.
How many transfers do you think would happen?
I don't know, man.
Just a handful.
Yeah,
I don't think that
too
any
many.
of the guys that are currently enrolled at Alabama would leave, but maybe his incoming recruiting
Oh,
class,
yeah,
some of those guys would go
absolutely.
with him.
Didn't that
Absolutely.
happen with Calipari in Memphis and Kentucky when he did that? Didn't anybody transfer?
I don't think so.
I don't know about
Maybe in the
transfer.
first year, but the numbers in college basketball are so much smaller.
And there are good rules protecting
Right.
students from transferring. They have to sit out a year and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
So
But
if
I'd
it's,
throw it out
if
there,
it's
that's
not Saban,
yeah, no, I mean,
maybe.
yeah.
if it's not Saban going to Texas, and we're still under the impression that Mac Brown is gone. This is the scenario. He's gone. Jim Harbaugh already said that he's staying in San Francisco. He's not leaving. How about this for a name? Urban Meyer.
to Bama.
Well, maybe to Bama or maybe to Texas if Saban stays at Bama. Say Saban stays at Bama.
After that defeat, he didn't lose to Michigan State, he would be in the conversation. I think right now.
Well, if there's another guy that's
What about D'Antonio? I would be so.
I don't see it. I think
upset.
D'Antonio
No, yeah,
would
I
have
don't
already
either,
gone to
but-
another school if he really wanted to.
Well, he didn't do this opportunity. If Saban turns us down, I mean, D'Antonio's a hot household name right now, especially from a program where he could easily be attained for not too much. But is he a Texas name yet? I don't know.
I don't
But
think so.
I
I,
don't
think
think he-
Texas is they're going to look to make a bang. I mean, that's why they're going after guys like, they reached out to Harbaugh, obviously Saban. They've mentioned Tomlin. And Urban Meyer, I mean, he's another guy, likes jumping around. I mean, he took Florida to back-to-back national championships and then just ditched them when the program got a little bit messed up under his watch because of all the discipline problems.
Thugs.
Hernandez problem.
And he's
I don't
another
think he
guy,
would-
supremely egotistical. He's just a very egotistical guy. And I could see him jumping ship and going to take that Texas Longhorn brand and making it his.
Wow.
But back to D'Antonio, Narduzzi just turned down the head coaching job at UConn.
It's a good decision.
So, and D'Antonio's got him coming back. Why would you run off and go to bed? I just don't think he would do it.
Well, if he were to run off, he would take Narduzzi with him.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wants to work with D'Antonio. Is basically what's happening. And what is
Man,
UConn?
you guys-
I mean,
He's not
You
going to
State
UConn.
fans would
It's
be
a good
mad.
decision. You
Big-
stay
you don't
That
until
would
go-
be brutal for State.
what is UConn? Is
They both
UConn the
left.
ACC for
No,
football?
they're in
Who
the Big East.
Big East?
Yeah, or whatever it's called now, the American Athletic
American,
Conference.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Who would leave that
No.
Big Ten to go to that? No.
Narduzzi's not leaving unless it's like a Cincinnati or somewhere in that tier.
I don't think you should leave it. I'm just that him coming back.
Well, he's not
why
gonna. He doesn't. I
D'Antonio
don't think he wants to
is
be a
good.
lifetime defensive coordinator. I mean, his name is hot right now. Don't you think he'd want to be a head coach somewhere?
I think he wants to actually leave something for state, which would be nice. Leave because he's got to. I wouldn't be mad at him but I need him next year to rebuild. To start with these young guys to rebuild what he did the last 2 years, and then after that, I would not be mad at him for leaving, but I'd like him for one more year.
Is he waiting for D'Antonio to step down and then take over the reins, kind of like Kirby Smart is in Alabama?
I wouldn't mind that.
See, that's the guy I think that Alabama would hire if Saban leaves is Smart, their defensive coordinator, because he's interviewed for big-time jobs and he turns all of them down. I think that he knows something. I really do, because why would he continue to stick around when he's the hottest assistant coaching name in college football?
Well, he's probably not getting the offers he wants. He probably wants a big.
I think he might have gotten some pretty good offers, but I just think he knows that Saban's either going to retire or move on, and he's going to be handed the reins to Alabama.
Right.
It doesn't get much better than that.
I'm excited to find out what happens with Saban.
Yeah, it's going to be if he does leave, it's going to be a huge, huge whirlwind in college football. It's going to be pretty intense if it happens. I'm kind of rooting for it just because I want to see what happens. Well, let's move on. We'll get into the Detroit teams. The Tigers have made a couple notable moves since our last episode. The trade of Prince Fielder for Ian Kinsler sent waves around Major League Baseball. They dump about $60 million worth of cap commitment or salary commitment that they owed Prince Fielder over the next 7 years, which is amazing because I think that contract's going to go down as one of the worst in college or baseball history. And Kinsler fills a need at second base because Infante's a free agent and Kinsler's an upgrade over him anyways.
Well, we finally have a solid, a known solid second base.
Right.
I don't even know the last time I could say that.
And he can hit leadoff, and Austin Jackson can go down to that 6-7 range where he actually was pretty good in the playoffs when we finally moved him down there. And it allows Cabrera to slide over to first, where he's a huge defensive upgrade over Prince, and it'll be easier on his body. He won't break down from the wear and tear of playing defense at third base. And then hot top prospect Nick Castellanos is expected to slide in at third, which will be another
Bring him
big
up.
defensive
I
upgrade.
want to see him.
So look at
Let's see him.
So with that trade, look at what it did to our infield. I mean, all of a sudden our infield defense, which was probably the weakest in possibly the AL, maybe even baseball, all of a sudden is now a strength. When you got Castellanos, Iglesias, who's probably the best fielding shortstop in baseball, Kinsler, who's above average, and then Cabrera, who's above average at first.
But we lose hitting in Peralta and Prince. But I'll trade that out.
We lose power. I wouldn't say necessarily
Hitting,
we lose hitting.
That's
It's going to be a different kind of style that you're going to see. It's not going to be all reliant on doubles and home runs. Because how many times do we see the Tigers get a guy to second base and it's Miguel, Prince, Victor, or Johnny Peralta? Those were our 3 through 6 hitters.
Right.
And they get stranded at second base because on a single, none of those guys are able to get home when most guys in baseball can. So with that trade, and then they signed Rajay Davis, who's expected to platoon in left field with Dirks. They're righty and lefty. Davis is righty and Dirks is lefty. So that improves our fielding also and our speed. Davis has 90 stolen bases over the last 2 seasons, which is something the Tigers have not had. And I think that's going to be the new look for the Tigers. They're going to go more for that generating runs by stealing bases and moving guys along the base paths rather than just relying on a couple big home runs from the power hitters. Because if Miguel or Prince or Victor didn't hit a home run, Tigers weren't scoring any runs.
Yeah, that's true. I just hope we don't. I hope focusing on defense doesn't hurt us from putting up runs. I mean, even last year there was a few stretches where we had trouble scoring runs.
We got shut out, I think, 12 or 15
and
times last season.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But I like what you're saying because I think Osmus is looking to send guys around the bases. Something Leland wasn't really trying to do because I think Austin Jackson might be stealing some bases finally.
More bunting too, more small ball.
Yes,
because Leland
absolutely.
hated that.
It's going to be a new look Tigers, I
It is.
think. You know?
And I like it because I think that we learned our lesson from the last 2 playoff runs. In October, when you're facing October pitching and the weather gets cold, you really need to be able to generate runs and play good defense and have a great bullpen.
Yeah, and generating runs doesn't always come from just hitting home runs.
Right. So I think it's a good move. I think that's how you win the playoffs: defense, bullpen, and speed.
How do you feel about our pitching moves so far?
The Fister trade, I thought at first my initial reaction was it was a horrible trade, questionable. We got a mid-level prospect named Robbie Ray, starting pitcher, who's going to probably be in AAA this year. We got a left-handed reliever named Ian Kroll, who's going to be our number 1 lefty out of the bullpen, which is what we needed. That's a good piece, but he's not elite. And Fister was a great starting pitcher, and then a utility infielder, Steve Lombarduzzi. But the more I start thinking about it, and I know that the local media and the national media was all over Dave Dombrowski, hating on the move, but I'm hoping, this is more hope than me knowing, but I'm hoping that dumping Fister's contract is kind of an implication that we're going to use that money to hopefully re-sign Max Scherzer to a long-term contract. Because Fister was going to hit arbitration. I think he was going to make somewhere between like $8 and $14 million. And now we're going to slide Smiley into the rotation for him. And Smiley is only making not even $1 million a year. So that's a huge difference. And then with the $50 or $60 million we got from the Prince Fielder trade, I think there's enough money there that we can re-sign Scherzer and hopefully also Miguel Cabrera. So that's my hope. I don't think that it's a big downgrade from Fister to Smiley. Smiley's younger by 6 years. He's got a higher upside, and he's a lefty, and he's cheaper. So I don't really mind that.
What do you think about do you think it's an upgrade or a downgrade or just even keel Jabba Chamberlain from Drew Smiley? Because we just brought in Jabba, and, I like what Dombrowski's always got, like, thinking of the next move.
Yeah.
You know? You get rid of Fister, you bring in a couple relievers, a couple prospects, and then you move Smiley down, and then you bring in Jabba in the bullpen. And signing Joe Nathan is something that's I think is huge.
That was a huge move.
A closer.
That's the first time we're going to have
that's what I like about Dave.
a top-tier closer.
Mr. Dombrowski, I guess I should call him.
But
Hopefully he's as good as Valverde.
he's one of the best closers in the last 10 years.
Was that a serious statement? As good as Valverde or not?
That's a little.
I hope that was sarcastic.
But to answer your question, Jace, I don't think that you can look at it as Jabba replacing Smiley. I think Kroll is the guy that's replacing Smiley.
Okay.
And I think that they're expecting Jabba to be the third or fourth righty out of the bullpen. I think you're going to see big improvement from Albuquerque, and you're going to see Bruce Rondon be the setup guy. And then
we re-signed Phil Koch.
Not guaranteed contract,
All right.
Good.
Well,
So he'll
all he did last year was pitch to lefties. So if that's what they want him to do, come in, pitch one.
Well, he's going to be the second lefty. Kroll's going to be the first lefty. So right now I see Jabba as the third righty. And if you include Nathan, who's a righty, but he's the closer, he'd be the fourth righty. But, and I don't, Jabba 1 year, $2.5 million is really a nothing contract in baseball. And he's got a high ceiling, low basement, though. He can get rocked.
Yeah.
He can get shelled, that's for sure.
We'll see how that goes because we let Varys go for 3.85, so.
Right.
I'm excited. I like the moves. I was just asking what your opinion was on some of them.
Yeah, I think we're done seeing big moves from the Tigers. I think this is going to be pretty close to the team you're going to see entering spring training. But you never know with Dave Dombrowski and Mike Ilitch. But let's move on to the Lions. The Lions are in the NFL are coming down the home stretch and the playoff stretch or the playoff chase. Got 3 games left. The Lions are kind of choking a little bit. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games, 2 of which they were heavy favorites in. The Tampa Bay, especially, was a really, really bad loss.
At home.
But it's not all over yet. We still have 3 winnable games left. We play Baltimore at home on Monday Night Football, which we're 6-point favorites in. Then the following week, we're home against the struggling New York Giants. We'll probably be, like 8 or 9-point favorites in that game. And then we go on the road to Minnesota, who's been pretty poor this year as well. So those are, we control our own destiny. We win those 3 games that we're going to be favored in and should win. We're winning the division and going to
That's
the
what
playoffs.
makes me nervous.
We only
But-
really need 2, I think, to get to.
Well, the magic number is 3.
Okay.
If Chicago and Green Bay lose, then it goes down to 2. But it's in our control. We got to win these last 3 games, and we're there.
It's just interesting to see us in this position based on last year. The NFC North had the most wins of any conference, and this year, you kind of expected it to be the NFC West. They have a stacked lineup with their worst team being the Cardinals or the Rams, but I mean they're still putting up. They're still competitive, but it's just unreal to see Aaron Rodgers get hurt, Cutler get hurt, AP get hurt. We got Reggie Bush kind of hobbling along here, but
we're healthy though.
But to see us at a 500 level and in the second best, we're the best team with a 500 record. That's just kind of it's embarrassing for the NFC North.
It's embarrassing for the Lions.
But it's scary. That's what makes me that's what scares me.
Right.
We have the tiebreaker against Green Bay and Chicago.
Right.
Rodgers, Cutler, AP, they're all out, and we're still not running away with the division. At this point, we should have it. It should be.
It should be over. It should. We had already
with all those injuries, and we're healthy
for sure.
We should have it, and that's what banging my head against the wall.
But we don't have that tie break with Green Bay because they did beat us once. We split with them, right?
But the
split.
Bears beat the Green Bay,
gotcha.
so then
Right.
we get the tiebreaker off of that.
Okay, that's cool.
But if the Lions don't win the division this year, I don't know when they will, because the stars have aligned perfectly for the Lions this year.
They're going to
Week
talk about
2 has
Schwartz leaving,
schedule.
I guarantee.
Rodgers injured, Cutler injured, AP injured, and Minnesota just struggling in general.
Right, they're not even in it. But
So
And that's what's so big about the Tampa and Pittsburgh games is those 2 games
Yeah.
are our chance to take 2.5 game leads.
And
And
Philly-
the Green Bay tie could play in huge.
well, Philly
if
too.
they
We were
go on the
winning
streak.
14-6 going into the fourth
The
quarter, and just
Snow
get
Bowl.
absolutely demolished in that fourth quarter.
well, and the other thing too is we gave Green Bay's 1 game behind or half because of the tie.
Yeah, the tie.
They tied
But-
Minnesota.
But now Aaron Rodgers is about to come back, and he might even play this week. So we like Jason said,
right.
we left the door open, and now it's our. I mean,
We've got to close. We've got to win these last 3
close.
games.
And
And if they don't win
well,
the division this year,
We better close.
Schwartz has got. I think Schwartz has got to go.
Oh, absolutely.
Please.
He's I think if. No, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get bold and start saying crazy stuff. But yeah, if we don't win the division, the changes need to be made at the top. But just imagine this: if we do win out these last 3 games, how crazy would that be? The Detroit Football Lions have a home playoff game.
It'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
Let's
You
not.
know?
It would be great, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Think about who you're talking about here.
Did anybody hear what Matt Elam, the rookie safety
Yeah.
of the Baltimore
Yeah.
Ravens, said about
Oh my
Megatron?
Tell him,
gosh.
Jace.
I just, how are you going to have an interview? And the last time somebody called him out, Des Bryant called him out, I could do what Megatron can do.
Well, tell him what Elam said.
Megatron went up and put 327 yards, so I'll give you a little taste of what Megatron's going to do Monday night, I think. But Matt Elam said, Megatron, I don't know how physical he can be. He is pretty old.
Yeah.
The guy's only got 6 years on Matt Elam. And now Matt Elam has to line up against Calvin Johnson. So I'm just excited that somebody lit another fire under the Lions, just like Sitton did when we played Green Bay on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And you know how that ends. So people are ridiculous sometimes when they get on radio shows.
That home playoff game would be huge, though, Milt, because the Lions are a dramatically better team inside than they are outside.
Absolutely.
It's not even close. And
at
former
home.
NFL coach and current NFL analyst Jimmy Johnson said that the Lions have enough talent to win the Super Bowl. They have as much talent as anybody in the league, he said.
yeah, I saw that was great.
It's true.
But it's true. And
It's
I
true.
think that brings me back to what I said about Schwartz. If this year the Lions don't win the division, he's got to be gone. I mean, he's just got to go. It would be ridiculous for us not to win the division this year.
You know something else that's crazy? It was voted on ESPN. They said, which team has the best chance of beating Seattle in Seattle? And the viewers and voters selected your Detroit Lions as the number 1 team in the NFL to go in and beat the 12th man and upset it, just purely by the fact that when our offense doesn't shoot itself in the foot, like no one in the NFL can stop us. We've got some studs. Our defense stops the run. So as
They're
long as we don't,
hard-nosed defense when they're playing
lose
smart.
the game for ourselves, we could do huge things.
Well, that's your Lions. We'll see what the
More to
the
come
Lion
on the Lions.
what the Lions sitcom brings us in the next few weeks.
Don't
It's more of-
disappoint me
it's More
again.
of a soap opera.
So-
Get your
opera.
playoff tickets now, though, folks. If you're asking Milt O'Quinn.
Wow.
Yeah, don't wait till the
Wow.
last minute. Don't wait till the
Man.
last minute to buy your
Restore
Lions
the
ticket,
roar.
like,
And you know who the man
like
cave
the Rose
homer
Bowl
of the
tickets.
Lions
They'll
is
get
right
expensive.
there. Start buying them.
So we'll do a quick little Pistons and Red Wings update. The Pistons are 10-13, and they're in 7th place in the East. The East stinks. Do you guys see the standings in the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference
they're
right now?
It's
Yeah.
Miami and Indiana are running away.
Yeah.
with it.
I mean, but those are two of the best
Yeah,
teams in
but-
the NBA. But everyone else does stink.
For all the
Nets.
negative attention that the New York Knicks are getting, they're I think 5-12.
Yeah,
Brooklyn
and the
they're-
Nets.
they're like-
Brooklyn Nets.
The Nets.
Yeah, but at 5-12, the Knicks are 3.5 games out of the playoffs. I mean, that's how bad the East is.
Well, if the playoffs started today,
We'd be 8th seed.
let's go.
No, we'd
Seventh
be
seed.
7th seed.
Pistons would.
Yeah. I mean, they showed signs of improvement. They had that 4-game win streak, and then they showed that inconsistency, and they've lost 3 in a row.
I think they're trying to find their
there's-
identity, though.
they
You
are,
know,
though.
Bringing
Yeah.
Jennings and Josh Smith.
I think they're starting to. I
trying
think
to-
they're really starting to gel nicely. Andre Drummond is turning into a beast.
Yes, he
Absolute
is.
they always.
beast.
There goes
I always
that
hear
man.
reports about how young he is. You know, every time I watch ESPN First Take, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith say, Andre Drummond's just trying to figure out how to play the game. You know, I just want him to stop disrespecting that. He's a grown man. You know, he knows how to play basketball.
He's
You
only
just gotta
20
play
years
on that
old,
team.
dude.
But come on, man. You've seen younger guys do. Don't treat him like a child. You know,
No, but
he knows how to play the game.
I think he's going to have great improvement from 20 to 25. And think about 5 years from now, he's going to be only 25 years old, and he'll be a 7-year NBA vet.
I just really hope he's still a Piston.
I do too.
Come on, Joe D, keep him.
And then the Red Wings are 15-9, 38 points, 3rd in the Atlantic Division. They're also on a 2-game losing streak.
And they've also
And
lost 9 of the last 9 games they've gone into overtime.
I know that is
That
ridiculous.
has to change.
And the injuries are mounting, and it's
Yes,
starting
they
to
are.
become a big concern. Our captain, Henrik Zetterberg, has a lower back injury.
Herniated discs.
Is that what the official injury
That's
report
Discs.
is?
Yeah,
Plural?
2 herniated discs. That's what they said. Like the first day, like it was announced, and things could have changed. And I know the NHL likes to just say back injury or leg. They don't like to
Right.
specify. But if I had to guess, word on the street is that it's herniated discs.
And so they just put him on the long-term IR. So the soonest he can return is December 8th.
28th.
28th, I'm sorry, 28th. And that's a worrisome injury. Anytime you're dealing with a lower back injury, especially herniated discs, and a guy as old as Zetterberg, I mean, you've got to be concerned about that.
What are we in the Eastern Conference? What's our seed or our rank? I know
think
we're
we're
third in the
third.
Atlantic.
No, we're 3rd in the Atlantic,
But what are we in the Eastern Conference?
probably in that.
In the new Eastern Conference.
In the new Eastern Conference, I'm guessing that we're going to be
Fourth.
we're 4th.
Yeah,
Oh wow, I thought we'd be lower than that.
because we got 38 points, and yeah, 4th.
That's what I love about being a Red Wings fan. Even when people say things are bad
Yeah.
and I think things are bad, we're still not doing that
Right,
bad.
yeah.
We're still doing pretty
That's
good.
true.
Our expectations are always super high.
It just seems like our injury situation, we get one guy back and then another guy goes down. You know, Zetterberg goes down, Datsyuk comes back. Howard goes down, DeKaiser's down,
Mm-hmm.
Ericsson's down. We need to get these guys healthy, and we got to get Franzen going. It's this whole thing with him again.
I've
So
He
Those-
heated up a little
he's
bit.
streaky. That's his thing. He's streaky. He'll get hot, and then he's cold, and then he's hot, and
It's
then he's
when the
cold.
stars are out, like when Datsuk and Zetterberg were both out. I went to the Joe.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of a bad game to go to. It was against the Phillies. I mean, the Flyers. And there was no Datsuk, no Bertuzzi, no Zetterberg. But Franzen just popped off, just straight
Yeah.
taking shots that were just blowing by the goalie like a fastball. So
Well, we're going to need him right now with Z out. And
Wings
the big,
update, we're up 1-0.
Nice.
The Tampa Bay Lightning.
And the big offseason acquisition, Stephen Weiss, 2 goals and 2 assists on the year. He's had, I think, 3 stints on the injured scratch list.
Alfredson, though, like yesterday or the day before, he led the whole NHL in plus minus.
Yeah, no, he's
and
playing
like
well.
he was averaging a point a game.
But he had a little stint, too, where he sat out
Yeah.
a week or 10 days with a little injury.
I haven't had a chance to watch much. How's our boy Abdicator doing?
I think he's been affected the most by these injuries because he really relies on those skill
Yeah.
position players
Yeah.
to get the puck to the net and set him up. He's still, he's always going to be a role player. That's just what he's going to be, and he's great at what he does, but he relies on those other players to get him involved.
I think we missed the week that they brought up Nyquist.
Nyquist and
but-
Tatar are playing
but-
great.
but they-
great.
I was listening to something and they brought him up that day and they had Babcock on a radio show. I can't remember which one it is right now, but but they were discussing, are you going to bring him up tomorrow? He said, you never know, it might happen. They bring him up the next day, scores a goal in the first 15 seconds of the game. It was beautiful.
That was cool.
That's what I like. I just don't know. I think we missed that week on the show or something. But I wanted to give a shout-out to Nyquist for that.
Yeah, I think he's shows flashes of Datsuk at times. I'm excited to see what this kid's going to look like in like 5 years.
Let's keep him around.
Yeah, him, Tatar, and if Helm can stay healthy, that's a good little core.
Helm's good.
So, yeah, I mean, things aren't – if we can win when we go into overtime, I think we'd be doing pretty nice.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Mitch's Man Cave. Thanks for joining us, and you may now exit the Man Cave.